Welcome to the Backstage Stories of Women on Stage, a podcast by Women on Stage recorded live. Let's go backstage and amplify the voices of leading women in tech from all across the globe. Get inspired and learn something new. Because if you can see it, you can be it. Join us. Visit womenonstage.net.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Backstage Stories of Women on Stage, a podcast by Women on Stage where we amplify the voices of leading women in tech from all over the world. And hi, I'm Moran Weber. I'm the CEO and founder of Women on Stage. Don't forget to visit womenonstage.net. And today we have a very special guest. We have Nur Lee Harel, who's the Chief Awesomeness Officer at EventHandler. Hi, Noel.
Hi, Moran. How are you? Good to see you again.
Great to see you again.
Virtually see you. I miss having coffee with you.
Let's do that. Let's do that soon.
For sure.
So, how are you? Can you tell us a little bit? What is a Chief Awesomeness Officer? What is that title?
Well, basically, I'm a CEO of the company called EventHandler, and I just felt like Chief Awesomeness Officer is a better title to give myself because I make awesome things happen. And I like to be distinguished whenever I can. So it kind of differs you from other CEOs of company. And also it's a great conversation starter because like, oh, you're a CEO. And they're like, oh, a Chief Awesomeness Officer. What is that? Mm-hmm. And then you get to basically talk about your business in a conversation. So it's really great.
That's actually like my next question is, so what is your business? What is EventHandler? Can you share a little bit about EventHandler?
So EventHandler specializes in community-oriented tech events, which means that we partner with developer communities mostly, but other in the tech sphere, software development sphere mostly, connect with communities and create conferences for them that are very specific to their needs, wants, interest-based. Usually those communities are the ones that choose the content for the conferences themselves. And I just provide the infrastructure. So a lot of communities that are maybe less business oriented and more like passionate people about software can have their own conference, right? And before COVID, we also had an international conference like in New York. Right now we're based in Israel, and that's where we're focused on.
So which conferences do you host?
So our most known conferences are React Next, which is, I think, the second largest React and React Native conference in the world. We had NoTLV, focuses on Node.js. We have JDev Summit, which focuses on Java. And in the background, we have a few more surprises that will be showing up later this year.
Excited. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so we actually invited you here today to talk a little bit about personal branding and more specifically about monetizing your personal brand, which is a very, very dear topic for me. You're also, I forgot to say earlier that you're also one of our speakers, one of our favorite speakers at the Women on Stage Academy, where we train the next generation of women on stage. We actually have another course coming up real soon, so stay tuned. And one of the things that you talk about in the course, and one of the your most famous workshops is R&D is personal branding for R&D professionals. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about what is a personal brand? More specifically, what is a personal brand for R&D people? And can you share a little bit about what is it and how do you create one?
Sure. So throughout my experience producing tech conferences, I started doing those. I've been in production business for over 25 years. And in 2016, I started producing tech conferences. And I saw throughout my career how people successfully build a brand, and people who weren't public speakers in the beginning became mainly public speakers for their livelihood or advancing their career through those conferences. And I just observed these people for a while and how they do so well. and kind of like fine tuned it into specific methods and action items that now I teach other workshops or private sessions or organizations about personal branding, how create developer advocates in that branding sense. I'm also a consultant for CFP as a result of that. Like I saw what works and what doesn't, and I managed to realize how to submit a successful call for papers and get accepted. And all those are tools to build yourself up as a brand. So basically a personal branding in general aspect, not just in R&D, is, one of the definition is marketing a person as a brand, right? Just like you're a product in a store, the branding package of what the public perceives of you, what they think of you. Jeff Bezos once says that personal branding is what other people say about you when you're not in the room, which is pretty accurate, right? Because you hear about people way before you meet them. And once you meet them, you already have some kind of an opinion on them, some kind of perception. And that perception can be a very good one. Oh, this person is a professional. Oh, she's so amazing at what she does. I want to be her when I grow up. These are things that you think about a person usually before you meet them. It can also go to the other way, but we're talking here about the positive aspect of it. So I've learned that in order to stand out in this business, especially in the public speaking realm, but also pretty much everywhere, like when you compare candidates in a job interview, if before you enter the room, the people have a certain perception of you, and it's a high value perception, then you get ahead much more. That's why it's really, really important, even in the R&D realm where it seems, oh, we don't have celebrities in this industry. Yeah, we do. I bet you follow some people on Twitter. I bet you see some role models. You see a lot of names popping up again and again and again in certain areas of expertise and thinking, I want to be that person. I want to get that person's opportunities. How do I get there? And the answer is personal branding. That's why it's so important, especially when you do your training for women in tech. That's why it's so important to have that training, because you can sit between four walls and yell, I'm an expert forever. But until you learn how to yell it outside and make people hear you and go like, oh, she's an expert, it doesn't work for you.
I think that's like a great explanation of of what it is. But I think for many women, they don't yell, I'm an expert. Unfortunately, they are
There are many
experts.
ways to yell.
Yeah.
There are many ways to elegantly yell, I'm an expert. And that's basically what we're here to talk about, how to do it.
So how do you do that? I mean, in many cases, they are experts. They're not even aware they are experts. They're not even aware they have something interesting or valuable to share. So how do you do that? How do you start yelling, I'm an expert, or believing you're an expert?
Yeah.
When you don't even feel like that, and you don't feel like you have like something really valuable to share. So how do you do that? How do you measure the personal brand?
So there are some few things you need to take. Some of them are mentally, like take mental steps towards it, and some practical steps towards it. Let's start with the mental steps towards it. You just said a lot of women think, or people in general think, oh, I don't have anything to offer as an expert. Let's look at the facts for a minute. You have a job right now where somebody pays you for your time and your mind and your skills. They're actively paying you for you, which means that you have a value and you have a knowledge that has a certain monetized value to some company out there to have you. Fact. Let's start with that. So you can say, I don't have anything to offer. Yeah, you do. And I bet you get paid a lot for it if you're in the R&D realm. Okay. So let's start with that. The next step you should do, and that's on the practical side, is you need to form your product, right? We said that that personal branding is marketing a person as a product. So think, what is your product? Is it knowledge in some area of expertise, which is the common denominator of most of the women I run into at your trainings, because it's really professional knowledge gained from years of experience, years of academics. It's very valuable. Is your product maybe solutioning something or just executing something in a different way or a better way than most people do? You have a product. You have some kind of a value that is based on your skills that you have already acquired through hard work. This is your product. You just need to focus and understand what is your main product and main skill set and focus on that, because that's what you're going to monetize later. It's much harder to try to monetize something that is not in your day-to-day skill set. It's very hard to do it. But if it's already in your current skill set that you're already applying in your day-to-day work or have, it's much, much easier. I just want to focus for a second for if anyone listening to this on what exactly is monetizing, because a lot of people sometimes don't even know what it means. It basically means translate that to money. Okay. That's what it means. No need to go extra theoretical. It means translate that to money, right? When you go and get a job after you studied your degree in computer science and you went and you got a job as a developer, you just monetized your academic training. This is monetizing. So we're here to talk about how you can monetize yourself outside the standard workplace, or how to monetize more, still being an employee at companies. A strong personal brand can help you increase the monetization you already have done. Meaning a strong personal brand can get you a better job or same job, better pay, right? Because when you go into that negotiation table and you talk about your salary in your either current job, or it's about time to talk about your raise, or you go to the next job interview, if they have a better perception of you as a higher value person, you can ask for more. Thus, you monetize more on what you already have. So first of all, you need to form it, realize your strength. That's the first step. You got to understand what you're good for. Where is your value? Then you got to let the world know. We talked a minute ago about how you can shout it elegantly, right? People need to know what is your expertise. The simplest step you can do is start forming your social media around it. In today's age, the digital world, the social media is how we get exposed to people, right? We don't go out to networking events like we used to. Even a networking event of 100 people, sometimes it's a very low impact because we are not all social butterflies who can work the room and go around, shake hands. Hi, I'm Nur. This is what I do. I bet you need my services. Nobody does that, right? So social media is a very important tool, especially LinkedIn, but it can also be Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you want. Any kind of social media appearance is key ingredient for your personal branding. Because usually what do you do when you hear about a person? You look them up on social media and then you start forming an opinion about this person from their social media tools. So I want you to design your social media around it. Go to your LinkedIn page. Maybe you haven't touched it in years, and see what does your LinkedIn page says about you. Does it just say software development, AI researcher, or does it say an expert in, specializes in, right? Worked at great companies such as, right? You need to build up your brand according to that, right? You need to make people know that you're a badass and you know what you do, and not just this is my resume. Same with all your posts and content that you post on your social media. If you regularly post about the topic that you decide that this is your product, your area of expertise, post about it and show that your world revolves around it. You're all about DevOps, because this is what I found interesting. And this is the articles that I read. And this is an article that I wrote, right? Be all over that specific area and make people know, oh yeah, she's a DevOps demon. Yeah, I want to talk to this person. You want to make them want it by creating that perception on social media. Once you've done that, which is like really the simple step, and you want to get down to monetizing something, like if you want to build a lecture, for example, which is again, one of the most common things I see in your training. So you need to do a little research first. You need to understand who are the stakeholders that would be interested in buying your talk. Just like when you go job hunting, you look up companies that are hiring for your specific role. That's a form of research. Think who needs you to give them your knowledge. You do that research and understand what they want, and then you build your talk around it, aim for that audience. You need to have, if we're focusing, for example, just on the talk as a product, because that's, I'm guessing, your main audience as well for this podcast, but it applies to everything. If you want to market your talk based on your research on what they want, not what you're interested in talking about, what your audience want and need, you form your talk, and you need to have it ready. When I say mean ready, open like a little folder somewhere and write your talk title and abstract and everything. Because when somebody approaches you and asks you, hey, so we have this little conference and we're looking for someone to talk about DevOps. And I've noticed that do you have a talk maybe about this and that? Because I saw that this is what you do. You need to have that ready at hand in a second. You need to have that ready to be sent over. Sure, I do, because this is what I do. Again, public perception, not, oh, you know what? Give me like a day or two. I'll come up with something. Does not sound professional. Of course I do. Let me send that over. What is your email? I have several options. Sounds way more professional. Immediate affects the public perception of you, that other person on the other side of the phone or email or whatever. This is all part of the process. So you need to have that ready.
That's great. I just want to add that if you apply as a speaker on Women on Stage platform, we provide like a public URL with your own speaker profile, like your title, your bio, and all of the talks that you're willing to give. So that's part of the things that we do at Women on Stage, and we give that service for free. So if you haven't joined us yet, please do so.
Yeah. So this is an example for a great tool for you to push it, which is kind of like later on in my chart of like steps you need to take, pushing it. When you present yourself in a platform such as Women on Stage, it can be other platforms like Sessionize, which are bigger, but you can also get a little lost there. When you have that platform, you basically put yourself in the same line as other speakers. Like your name will appear next to another woman who's been already on 50 international stages as a keynote speaker. Again, affects public perception of you. Oh, you're part of a very respectful list of speakers, so she must be it, right? So this is a great offer and a great additional value to your training that you offer this platform. It really is a great opportunity. So you do your research, you define your talk based on what they need, you have it ready, okay? You have it ready to be sent. You can edit a one-pager brochure. A lot of companies like that, just like a little PDF document, simple design, explaining what is your talk, how long is your talk, languages that you can give this talk, maybe if you're bilingual, trilingual, whatever. Who is this for, right? It's important to mention who is this talk for. What are the key values that someone listening to your talk will get from this talk? If your service is not a talk, if your service is solutioning, for example, right? Define the process that you're going to do, how long it's going to take, what are the methods that you're going to use, what are the results that your client will get at the end of the process of working with you. Have it all formulated in writing for two reasons. One, sending it over in a second. And two, once you write it down, even if, especially the point of what is the value that people are going to get from your service. Once you write it down, it's easier for you to verbalize it over a simple phone call, right? Or just like a little networking. Oh yeah, I do this and this, like over, like in a little networking event. Yeah, my clients usually see that after 3 months of working with me, they've noticed an increase in yada, yada, and more revenue in the blah, 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 right? Once you formalize it in writing, it's easier for you to word it out in confidence, which is always, important. So great. Next step, you defined your product. Now it's time to price it. This is the trickiest point.
That's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part. And here I want to go back to the mental steps that you need to take, because this is like super important. You need to stop thinking what they are willing to pay me and start thinking what I deserve to get paid, which is a very difficult mental switch. I know, but negotiation is a skill. You got to keep that in mind. Negotiation and business in general is a skill. And we all know, as educated women, skills are acquired. Okay. You were not born a badass developer. You put in the hard work and you learned and you practiced and you gained more and more knowledge over the years that turned you into a badass developer, right? It was a skill. It was a muscle that you kept on practicing and strengthening until you got really damn good at it. And that's what you can do with negotiation and asking. You already have a baseline. You already asked in the past. You asked for a certain pay for your current job. You asked for raises before, even if you didn't get it. You practice that muscle of asking. I bet you stood your, hopefully. But you also stood your ground on other things, not just in business, but in life. I bet you stood your ground, I don't know, with your partner about household decisions. You sought something right that needs to be done in a certain way, right? A decision that needed to be made, and you stood your ground and you decided, no, this is my standard and this is what I want and this is what I deserve. And you stood your ground and finally you got it. Or you stood up to your parents and like, this is the decision I want to make. Okay. Get with the program. We've all stood our ground on something. And maybe it took us a while till we learn how to stand our ground and ask for more, demand more for ourselves. Same thing with business. Same thing with pricing. If I think my time is worth at least $200 per hour of consultation, right? If I believe in it and I stand my ground, and this is how I communicate that not, I think you need to pay me $200 per hour, or I think, you think that I'm worth $200 per hour. I was like, no. $200 an hour, or, I'm going to stay home and watch Netflix, right? Like, cause this is what I think I deserve. So you need to change that to what I think I deserve. And you also need to know that, like I said,
you need to practice it out loud.
Exactly.
Say it to yourself.
Say it to yourself and practice. Okay. You need to practice saying it to others, and you will get no's. Okay. Probably. Hope not, but you will, because this is how business works, right? You give a price quote and people will compare that price quote to others. And remember, there will always be competitors. There will always be people who might copy your work and sell it for a lower price. This is how business works. It's inevitable. But if you speak in confidence and deliver your ask in confidence and build your brand strongly enough to make people think and know that you deserve more than your competitors, and this is why your price is 25% higher than your competitors who offer basically the same thing, but your personal brand is stronger. They have more confidence in you. They see it legitimate to pay you 25% more than your competitors because they think you're badass. You're better than them. How would they know? They didn't measure you empirically, but they think that as a result of your personal brand. That's another reason personal brand is really, really important. So yeah, asking for a price is hard. It's a muscle that you need to practice. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. And the more you start asking, because you feel more and more confident, start pushing your limits, ask a little bit more every time. And finally you get there. It's okay to also start lowballing yourself just for the sake of practice, right? I think my talk is worth $1,000, but I'm going to start my baby step into this business offering for $300 just so I can, start getting a sense of how this communication works. How does it, how do I communicate with people? How do I respond? Collect feedbacks. But you got to start asking, because making the jump from $100 to $1,000 is much easier than making the jump from not asking at all and then start asking for $100.
Right.
By far, that first step, right? First step. You want an easy tip? They want you to have this talk in person. You don't feel comfortable yet because it's only in your mind. You don't feel comfortable yet asking for money for your talk. Ask to cover expenses for travel. Seems very legitimate, right? I'm driving my car to your offices, giving your talk. I spend money on this talk. I think that it's a very legitimate request to ask for that, right? They validate your parking. Why not pay for your gas? It's a small ask, and I guarantee that you will say yes. And they'll be like, maybe I should have asked for just like a small fee of $100 for my talk. Maybe they would say yes. Next time you try that, ask for a small fee, then a bigger fee. Practice that muscle. It takes time and patience, and you got to show that patience. It's okay. Another important thing is
How do
And
you
that's again, right?
how do you don't give up when you hear that first no? Like the first no, the second no is probably the hardest one. So how do you keep going?
Okay. Um, it's inevitable. It's very hard to have that beginner luck of getting a yes for the first time. But I'm sure it's not the first time you got to know. I'm sure you didn't stop looking for work if you didn't get accepted to your first uh, company of choice. You kept on trying, right? Eventually you got your goal. I bet you didn't end up committing to the first partner you've ever wanted. We've all dealt with no's in our life, but it never stopped us. We kept going ahead. And sometimes it's okay to get the no, especially if you got better stuff to do with your time. Like, I don't like being lowballed. If I give a price that I think I deserve for my time and somebody lowballs me and offers me like 30% of that, I'm like, that's not even a negotiation. That's not worth my time in any way. And I rather stay at home and do nothing and take some me time or work on my day-to-day work where time is money, than going to do that. It's okay to get a no, right? It's okay because sometimes they're not worth it. You don't want that business relationship with those people who try to lowball you that hard. And it's okay to have a no because you know what you're worth. And if you're a consultant, for example, and they prefer to take someone else over you, either because of price or a different pitch or whatever, it's okay. They don't deserve your advice. They can go handle someone else. Somebody else will be worthy of your time and efforts, and it will give you a yes and will reward you accordingly to it. It's okay to get a no. It's fine. Just like when you propose talks for conferences, and most of the time you will get a no. Like my favorite anecdote to tell in trainings is this one time where I got declined when I proposed a talk for a DevWorks conference called How to Get Your Tech Talk Selected. So, and it was declined. But I don't think it's because my talk wasn't good. I think my talk is excellent. And I know for a fact that this talk helped many, many people, women especially, get accepted to conferences. It was just not right for their conference, or they had better offers for better talks to be given at the conference. It doesn't mean that my talk is bad. It's not, trust me. So same for you. If you offer your services and you get a no, it does not mean that it's bad. It's just that they're looking for something else or under a different budget, which is fine. It's literally, it's not you, it's them. You got to keep that in mind. Literally not you, it's them. Okay.
That's really, really important. I think I need to keep telling that to myself all the time, all the time. I have to keep practicing it because sometimes it gets really, really, really hard. Like you start with the self-doubt. You hear like one no after tons of yes, and you start with the self-doubt. I'm worthless.
You got one no after tons of yes. Mine was reverse.
That was an example. But yeah, that's like in many cases, that's just how I do things, and I feel bad about it. But like I feel like my mind is a little bit twisted because I'm so I get so emotional and I get so sensitive over.
That's not being twisted. That's being human.
Right.
That's called being human. Nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes a no. Our confidence is so easily shook, and it's so human to it just like that muscle that we talked about, those skills that are like muscles. Getting a no for an answer is also a muscle you need to practice, and it gets so much easier over time. And I was like nowadays, if I send like a price quote and people say no, I'm like, thank you, next, thank you, Ariana. You know, it's like no need, no need. Okay, somebody else will buy that time. It's fine, no worries about it. It's okay. Like I know what I'm worth. But it's a muscle in the beginning. It was really, really hard. Another fun thing is you should know that you can always fake it till you make it. That's not a bad thing at all, right? Just because you decided that your brand, I'm a AI expert and speaker, and you did all the things I told you. You set up your social media and you have this nice little one pager ready at hand on your phone in case somebody asks for it. And But you got to know, and you got to know, and you got to know, and you got to know repeatedly. Still maintain that narrative, still maintain that brand, because eventually we get yes. For example, for my personal example is that I posted on my LinkedIn, like in my tagline, I wrote, conference producer, blah blah blah, DevRel consultant, right? Because I helped companies. Eventually, I helped companies recruit developers through DevRel activities and promoting their brand through DevRel activities and creating developer advocates. But it took about 6 months from the point where I posted on my LinkedIn that I'm a DevRel consultant until the first company, and it was a huge company, came and asked to pay for my services as a consultant. I did not wait till somebody would pay me to be a consultant to post that on my LinkedIn, that this is a service that I offer. Because I knew, in my mind, I knew my product, I knew my value, I knew what I can offer, I already had a price plan for it, and I was just waiting for that opportunity. And it came to me because that's what I wrote on my LinkedIn. And just because I decided this is what I am, this is what I'm worth, this is what I can do. And eventually they saw it and paid a lot of money for it. And then another company and another company and another company. And it went on from there. So again, it's like a little mental switch. But yeah, there was a lot of no's along the way. A lot of, whoa, you're priced way too high. A lot. But like I had my mind set on something and I just went with it. It's a mental exercise that you have to stick with, right? It's just remember that anything in business and anything in branding is a marathon and not a sprint. You get nothing from sprints. It's a marathon. It's years of running forward until you really get what you want. If you're expecting immediate results, don't even start because you will be disappointed. Like even if you get immediate results, if you don't build it properly, there's going to be a drop afterwards, right? Build it slowly as a marathon. Keep going at it. And trust me, you will get the results that you want and you will get to the career that you want and that monetization that you want, that price range you believe that you are worth. As long as you are you really believe that you are worth it, right? You will eventually get there. Okay. You just have to be very persistent, strong, let the nose slide over you and just keep on going full strength ahead because you've done it before. You've reached your goals before. Just think of it as another mountain to conquer, right? But this mountain will give you a lot of cash. There's a lot of cash at the top of this mountain. You want to get there.
And that mountain of cash is a very important one. Very, very important one. That's like, as always, your advice are pure gold, like literally pure gold. I'm going to buy a gold necklace after that, after this talk. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, Nur. I think this conversation was absolutely fascinating. And I learned so much from you, and I hope all of our listeners will learn so much from you because you have tons of super valuable experience. Once again, literally valuable experience that we can quantify. And thank you everyone who joined in to the Backstage Stories of Women on Stage. And we hope to see you again next time. And once again, thank you so much for your time, Nur. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks to everyone who joined in. We'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts. Join us again at the Backstage Stories of Women on Stage. Visit womenonstage.net and follow us on social media.